Hello everybody. Started a couple of minutes earlier just because the weather is not the nicest today. So I'm hoping we're going to be okay signal wise, but if there is any issues, I do apologise. It's a proper storm out there today. Don't know what the weather's like near anybody else, but yeah, we've definitely got the wind, the rain, and it is not very nice out. So I thought today, because this is our final live stream for Mind. So that's what we've been doing it for all of January, is for Mind and to raise awareness, suicide prevention, and to raise a little bit of money for them. So thank you for those that have put some money in. It's fantastic, brilliant, thank you. But yeah, we all know by now 1 in 4 of us will suffer from poor mental health every year, and 1 in 15 of us will attempt suicide in our lifetime. Those are staggering figures, yeah. So this is what we're here for, what we've been here for every Sunday in January, to try and raise money for Mind and to support the amazing work that they do. So today, seems as we are doing this well-being chat on sleep, I have got my comfies on, nice snuggly and warm. Helps extra as well with the weather being terrible out there. We've got Tim in the comments who is going to be posting the links for everybody. And again, I will follow this up throughout the week, doing posts and just reiterating some of the things that we've said today, all about sleep. So Tim's popped the link in there for the Just Giving page. So again, if you're finding any of the lives that we've done, any of the information useful, and you can afford to, please donate, even if it's a small amount. It all helps and it all builds up. So sleep, the dreaded topic, the thing that everybody struggles with on and off, and usually the topic of conversation for most of us is sleep. It's the first thing we talk about. Um, so we're going to talk about it today, and we're going to look at lots of different things and lots of different tools that can help you with sleep. And it's worth pointing out as well that there are a couple of myths with sleep. So, for example, the you need 8 hours every single day. Totally not true. Really not true. It changes throughout our lifetime. So, dependent on how old you are, will dependent on how much sleep you need. And there's also 3 stages of sleep. There's the light sleep, then it goes into deep sleep, which is where we start processing all the information throughout the day. Um, and then there's sort of sleep where you're that deep, you're not going to be waking up if anything happens. You just well and truly out, and that's the point where our body starts repairing itself. It starts healing, sort of helps with our immune system and all those wonderful things. So those are the sort of 3 stages, and throughout our life, we will dip in and out of the different stages. We'll need some more than others. So the older we get, the less of that very deep sleep where nothing could wake us up is needed as much. So yeah, so that changes throughout our lives. As I say, I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail because I don't want to bore you. But yeah, sleep. Yeah, it's very different. And naps is another one. So people say about how you shouldn't be napping. Actually, napping can help you. If you've had a terrible night's sleep, just 20-30 minutes of napping can actually make a huge difference and can make you feel a little bit more restored, a little bit more with it. So napping's quite good as long as you're not doing it for long periods of time throughout the day. Napping's a good thing to do as well. So up to 40% of adults suffer at any one time with sleep. That's a huge amount. And there's so many things that affect it, from maybe you do shift work, maybe you're at that time of life where you're hitting the menopause, maybe young children, changes in our lives, our mental health, lots and lots of things affect sleep and affect how we are getting enough of it. Some things we can do things about, Other things, we can just build healthy habits around it to get us where we need to. So, the first thing I want to talk to you about is sleep hygiene. Yes, sleep hygiene. So, this is one of the most basic things whenever you're struggling with sleep to start looking at and going down the path of, right, what can I do? So, what do I mean by sleep hygiene? So, that this covers a variety of things. So, we're looking at daylight, for example. We'll start off with daylight. You should be getting daylight as soon as you possibly can in the morning. And not just at a window, ideally. If you can get out there, get out there. Obviously, when it's like this today, you don't want to be doing that, but at least be near a window. You could do with at least 30 minutes every morning of daylight. Because what it does is when we are tired, when we are sleepy, our body produces melatonin. That's the hormone that tells us to sleep. And what we want in the day is we want lots of vitamin D, we want serotonin, we want to be filled with all the really, really good hormones. And that's what the light will start to produce. And you need it to be very clear break off between the night and the day. So if we are staying in all day and we keep the curtains shut and it's dark and it's what's it, we're not telling our brains that it's time to get up, to get about the day, and that can massively affect. So if you're like that all day and then struggling to sleep at night, that will be why, because you need to have that defined between day and between night. So 30 minutes of daylight each morning. Are you getting it? That should be the first thing on your checklist. You know, when you wake up in the morning, one of the first things you should be doing is making sure you're opening the curtains and getting as much daylight in as possible. Granted, in winter that's a little bit more difficult, but still, it's one of the most important things to do. Sit by a window. Do you know what I mean? Just get that daylight in as much as you can do. We should also, sleep hygiene, be having a wind down routine as well. I'm going to talk a little bit about this later on and some wellbeing tools specific to help you with this. But you should be having a daytime routine and a nighttime routine. And the reason is our bodies are used to that, our minds are used to having some kind of path to follow. And it tells us it's time to then go to bed. You have a good nighttime routine, then that's your body and your mind preparing, all right, it's bedtime now. Let's follow this routine. Yeah. Your bedroom environment. Now, this is a big one that a lot of us don't even think about half the time. So, really, if you get a chance, just go and sit in your bedroom and just take a few minutes and just look around, just quietly, and just see. Curtains, for example. So, obviously, it's not too bad in winter, but in summer, as soon as that daylight comes through the window, that's waking us up. That's telling our brains it's time to get moving. So maybe you need thick curtains or blinds or blackout blinds, something that just cuts that daylight off so you're still getting the sleep that you need. So lighting is incredibly important. What we're looking for is a cool, dark, quiet place when we're going to sleep. That's the idea. So if your bedroom is not giving those vibes off, it's not making it feel calm and relaxing for you, then you got to do something about that because that could be massively affecting your sleep. Even some things is like, I know, for example, this bugs me. It might not bug everybody, but if there's mess in the room, if I'm constantly looking at that mess all the time, I'm not going to sleep because all I'm thinking of is, oh, I've got to do this and I've got to do that and that needs that and this needs that. So your brain isn't switching off. So make sure your bedroom is calm and relaxed in place. Is there any smells in the room that might be affecting you? You know, if it's not something we often think about, but if there's that lingering, horrible smell, whether it's sweaty socks or whatever, that isn't going to be very productive for sleep. So just spend some time in your room and just look around and sort of say to yourself, right, do I feel calm and relaxed in this room? If not, what is it? You know, use all your senses and just try and work out. Maybe it's your bedding. Yeah, you might need some nice, warm, comfortable bedding. I'm partial to the teddy bedding myself. Not that Tim likes it, but it's one of my favourite things. Feel nice and snuggled and warm in that. Other people might prefer something cooler like cotton sheets. Do you know what I mean? Or a fresh made bed. How good does that feel when you've got a fresh made bed? Yeah. Maybe it's your pillows. Maybe you need to change your pillows. Whatever it is, just make sure it feels cool, calm, relaxing. Okay, so that is your bedroom environment. What about your mattress? What about your bed itself? Is it comfortable? You lie on there and you're getting achy backs and things. What can you do? Yeah? Is there something you should be doing? Now, according to some of the research I've been looking at, you should really be changing your bed. It shouldn't be every 8 years. It shouldn't be over 8 years. If you've had your bed for over 8 years, that could explain why. Obviously, mattresses are slightly different, but in terms of the bed itself, you're sort of looking every 8 years. You should be looking at sort of seeing if you need a new one and just checking everything out. Is it a bit creaky? Is it a bit uncomfortable? Just, check it out, see what you think. Avoiding devices is another one for sleep hygiene. So you should not be on a device up to an hour before you are ready to go to bed. What it is the blue of the screens tells our brain it's daylight, and then it's producing all those daylight hormones. So instead of the melatonin we need for sleep, it's producing the daylight one. So you should avoid screens at all costs an hour before you go to bed. So there's lots of other things that you could be doing instead. Reading a book, maybe doing some colouring, listening to an audio book. There's yoga, there's Pilates, journaling. Start bringing in things like gratitude and things like that to get yourself in a more positive mindset. Because if you go into bed in a more positive mindset, that'll be a lot easier for you when you're going to fall asleep. So, looking back at the other videos that we've covered previously in these lives, check out the different well-being tools there is and what you can start building into that evening routine to sort of help with sleep, to sort of help get you to wind down rather than up. And consistency. Consistency is important. As we were talking about before, our brains like a good routine. They like things to sort of be as they are, and then they know to follow it, and that means we're going to bed. You can see it quite often if you've got a dog or something like that. They crave routine, so they'll know it's time to go to bed. So you'll know it'll be getting to that time where you're normally up for bed, and quite often the dog will be ready well before you and be like, "Are we going to bed now? Are we going? Come on, let's go." So yeah, so everybody craves routine, and our brains are exactly the same. So by building in a daytime routine and a nighttime routine, it can make such a big difference. Whew. Right, so that is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about sleep hygiene. We can go into a little bit more detail on some other bits and pieces as we go through, but it's one of the things I just wanted to mention just early on. So, right, where should we even start now? So let's talk about the basic stuff before I start going on a little bit more well-being wise. So things like exercise and food. We'll cover those next. There are two topics and two things that have a massive impact on whether we're going to have a good night's sleep or not. So, for exercising, are you actually doing any during the day? Think back to the times where you've had a terrible night's sleep. What have you done the day before? Did you go out and get any exercise? Did you get any fresh air? Did you socialise with anybody? Have you eaten anything healthy? You're thinking about it, are the days when you sat inside, you've kept the curtains shut, you couldn't be bothered, you've not bothered getting out of bed, but you've not been sleeping, you've been scrolling on your phones all day, doom scrolling, because you're just not in the mood to do anything. Just at junk food. You're not going to sleep. You're not going to have a good night's sleep if you're doing that all the time. It's building in the healthier habits makes a massive difference. So when I talk about exercise, I'm not talking about going hitting the gym or doing anything like that. Go out for a quick walk, move around the house, do a little bit of dancing, maybe some yoga or Pilates or just some stretching exercises, whatever it is, just something to get your body moving for at least half an hour a day. That will massively help your body to know that, right, I've done my bit, so I know at the evening I can rest. Obviously, we don't want to exercise too close to bed because when we're exercising, we've got the adrenaline pumping, all those lovely endorphins are coming. So that's going to wake you up. So again, it's the timing of this, sort of making sure you're doing the exercises at the relevant time of day so that at night you've got that wind down routine and exercising shouldn't be part of that. If you want to do anything, it'd be that gentle stretching, that type of a thing, but nothing that gets your body pumping and your heart racing because again, that's what's not going to help in terms of sleep. Food as well, we all know we need to eat healthier to sort of help our bodies. Um, but we've also got to give ourselves time to digest. So if we're eating late on at night, your body's digesting. it takes a long time for your body to break down the food. So instead of resting, it's digesting, and then you're not going to get a good night's sleep because your stomach and your body are doing all the extra work that they didn't need to. Now, there are some foods that can help release that sleepy hormone, melatonin. And I'm just going to mention a few of them. But again, it's all about timing. Remember, you've got to give your body a chance to digest fully so that it can rest later. So things like dairy products, soya milk, bananas, nuts and seeds, cherries, oats, that type of thing, all produce melatonin. So having those type of things, just be careful of the sugar content, obviously, but those type of foods will all help with that kind of thing. Or the malt drinks, for example. So that's another thing, getting towards the end of the day, starting to wind down, having a nice malt drink, or like my preference, I like the sort of herbal teas, the ones that have the nice, well, they're aimed to be sleepy teas, but I think it's the smell that just sort of calms and relaxes myself and gets myself in a state where I'm like, right, okay, now I'm ready for my routine for bed. So yes, they're all things to sort of be looking at. So food and exercise. We talked about screens and that, so we shouldn't be on our screens an hour before bed because that can have a big impact. So yeah, so there's sort of bits and pieces to just sort of keep in your mind when we're sort of looking at that. So let's go now onto the wellbeing tools. So what wellbeing tools that we've sort of talked about briefly and other ones that can help us with sleep. So I want to talk to you about binaural beats. I haven't mentioned them, I don't think, on any of the lives so far, but it is something I have talked about in my social media posts previously. So binaural beats. So these are music, effectively, beats that are played in the background that will tell your brain it's time to do certain things. So you can have it for productivity, you can have it for relaxation, and you can also have it for sleep. I won't bore you with saying sort of the delta, alpha, all these type of things because you're not going to remember that. Basically, if you put into Google or put into YouTube binaural beats for and then sleep, which is what we're covering today, it will give you that. And it's sending those waves to your brain, which is telling it it's time to go to sleep, relax, and calm down. So that might be a good thing to have on in the background, maybe that hour before you're ready to go to bed. Getting it as part of your routine, and as you're sort of getting changed and everything, just have this on in the background just to sort of start to tell your brain it's time now to sleep. You can get them completely and utterly free. There's quite a few that I use on YouTube. Tim's popped one in there that I use quite regularly, and they're a really great thing to do. You can get them for kids as well, where they sort of build into story time, and there's lots of apps and things like that that you can sort of do on there. Again, if you just pop it into YouTube, the same kind of thing, it will find something that's kid friendly, that you can use to sort of help with that. There's also podcasts as well that sort of have sleep meditations and all different types of things like that. So one, I think it's called Get Sleepy by Slumber Studies or Slumber Studios, Slumber Studios. So that is a podcast which is all fully about sleep. It's got meditations. I'm assuming they'll probably use the binaural beats in there as well, which is just sort of helping you to relax and sort of chill in an evening and start to wind yourselves down. So yeah, so there's that there. I've got some meditations as well. These have gone down really well with a lot of clients. I've done some personalised ones for people that when the mind's racing and they're just struggling to get to sleep, it's just this meditation to get you to start to relax, to start work down your body, do a body scan, relaxing those muscles, working your way all the way down, and then just generally sleeping. Listening to something like waves, for example, that might do it for you. Just some noise that's not engaging your brain to the point where you sort of uber focusing on stuff, but where it's just allowing your mind to just rest, to just chill and just start to relax and go quiet. And then obviously you sleep. That's the idea of them. So yeah, so Tim's going to pop some of the links in there. I've got some for deep sleep. I've got some for all sorts of different things. So check them out, see if any of them work for you. As I say, I've had some really good ones, and you don't have to watch it on a video. You know, can get this in a sort of downloadable version as well. For those of you that are in my meditation subscription, you will have all of them already. You've got access to all of them for free, the audios, which you can download and use whenever you like. So yes, so they're really good, and as I say, meditation's a great way to sort of help relax your body because you bring into the current moment. You're usually focusing on either your breath or relaxing your muscles in your body. Quite often, if you're already at that stage where you're feeling a little tired but you can't quite drift off, this will just sort of really help to sort of set you off in that direction, because as soon as you're thinking about relaxing, that's what happens. So again, I'm going to talk about language. Language is so important. You know, we've got it in the meditations here, the language of relaxing, of telling your body it's time to go to sleep. But there's also the opposite, and quite frequently, how many of us say to ourselves, "Oh, I'm not going to sleep tonight. Oh, I'm definitely not going to sleep. Oh God, I've not slept all week." And you're just focusing so much on the negative. And what you're doing by saying that all the time is you're telling your brain not to sleep. It doesn't understand the word not, so it's basically listening and saying, "Don't, stay awake. Sleep isn't it? We're not going to sleep, so therefore you're not going to sleep." That's what you're telling yourself. You've got to switch that language up. So build it into your routine of an evening. Start saying to yourself, "I'm going to have an amazing night's sleep tonight." Maybe bring some affirmations into it. "I will sleep tonight. I sleep comfortably all the time. My body, even if I wake up, it finds itself easily drifting back off to sleep." I have got affirmations on sleep, which I will be posting during the week, which you can have a look at. But it's just changing that language up. Catch yourself if you start turning around and saying that you're not going to sleep, things like that. Switch it up and say, "Yep, I'm going to sleep tonight. I'm going to have a relaxing night. It's going to be fantastic. I'm going to feel really comfortable." And just start saying those type of things to yourself, especially in the lead up to bed. By doing that, you're already preparing your brain to say, "Right, it's night time. We're going to go to sleep." And it follows through. Yeah. So language is so, so important. So we've got binaural beats, we've got meditation, and we've got switching up our language for sleep already. So what else can we do? Well, there's one of the best things to do is a visualization exercise. Now, I think I have a recording of one that Tim will pop in the links for everybody to have a look at, but we'll just do a little bit of one now. But maybe start to write some things down and get some ideas before you sort of start doing this as a sort of practice straight off. So what we want is a good healthy routine. And what we can do in a visualization exercise is walk ourselves through this routine of what we are going to do. And because our brains are visual, because they learn from seeing things, then if we are picturing it, that is what it's going to follow the course of. So think of your bedtime routine. What do you do? So if you're doing anything unhealthy, this is the point where you can start switching it up. So what are you going to do if you know you're doing things that aren't great? So what I'm going to do is an hour before bed, I'm going to start to read a book, or I'm going to do some journaling, or I'm going to do whatever. And just picture yourself doing that. Then picture yourself going through your routine, drawing the curtains, pulling down the blinds, locking everything up. And then as you're walking up the stairs, you're saying to yourself, "I'm going to have a wonderful night's sleep," as you're walking up the stairs. You can start to do that, building all that positive language at that point. Or if you haven't got stairs, walk into your bedroom, wherever it is. And continue that through the rest of your routine. So going into the bathroom, get yourself ready, brushing your teeth, etc., getting changed for bed. And then really focus on things like how comfortable those pajamas feel, and how every time you put them on, it just instantly makes you want to go to sleep. You can already feel your body relaxing as you pull the covers back on the bed, that warm, comforting bed, and how it relaxes you. How you know as soon as you slip into that bed, you're going to fall to sleep comfortably, nicely. And you can see what I'm saying here, yeah? So it's about going through that routine and visualizing each and every step of it. And as you're sort of going through, you're learning about it, you're just associating comfortable, calming, relaxing words that sort of help take you there. So Tim has posted the link. It's called a bedtime visualization. It's on there and it will just take you through. But do beforehand write down your routine already. And remember, we've talked about sleep hygiene. Go through beforehand and make sure that you've ticked off all those boxes. And if there's any of these wellbeing tools you want to start building into that bedtime routine, add that to it. See yourself doing it. It's going to tell your brain that this is important. This is something I need to do. And by doing these things, this indicates I'm then going to go to sleep. Yeah. So have a look at all of those. I have a book here as well to recommend to you all. I haven't fully finished reading this one yet, but it has got a lot of information on. So it's called Fast Asleep, Wide Awake, and it's by Dr. I won't read that. You can all have a look yourselves. There we go. So in here, they talk about all sorts. I'll just read the back to you, and it's got some good exercises and things in it to help you. So sleep problems aren't created when you put your head on the pillow. Everything you do during the day, every thought, behavior, choice you make can impact on how you sleep at night. Dr. Narina Ralamkan, I'm so sorry if I've pronounced that wrong, has worked for over 25 years as a psychologist and sleep and energy expert. Combining this professional experience with academic and personal insights, she says her view that sleep problems are not just about sleep, but rather about how we deal with life and the inevitable challenges. Sleep well to live well to sleep well. In this groundbreaking book, Dr. Ramakin goes beyond the traditional sleep methods to examine the true causes of sleep problems and what she calls the real work. Are you surviving or thriving? Fast Sleep, Wide Awake shares a unique and highly practical process for accessing deep and restorative sleep and shifting your energy from survival mode to a more suitable and vibrant source that we all have access to. Facing life head on, using tools and techniques based on Western science and Eastern practices, learn how to sleep deeply and find the energy to embrace life's challenges, courage and optimism. So yeah, it covers a lot. It goes into details. There's case studies. It talks about things like the inner critic, you name it. We've got it in here. Bedtime yoga, everything. So it covers a lot of different things here. It's a really good book if you're just starting off and you want to learn a little bit more about lots of different things, wellbeing tools, some of the science behind it as well and why it works. This is a great place to start. So as I say, I've already started with my sticky notes, as you can see, but it's not one I've quite finished yet. But yeah, this is a really, really great book to sort of have a look at if that's what you're interested in. So I'm going to bob them down there. So we were also talking about earlier about sort of making our room sort of a little bit more comfortable. So, you can do that in any way that you like with the sheets and everything, but you use your senses, yeah? Bring those into them. So, like room sprays, for example. So, this is a lovely one, sleep room spray from Happy Place. Somebody got me a lovely set at Christmas, and I just spray that around the room, and it just makes it nice and calm, relaxing. And then there's the wonderful lady at Scented Smellies who does all these well-being sprays. So that might be more your thing. If this is like deep sea. There's a forest one. There's loads of different stuff. I'm sure she had one for sleep as well. But yeah, go check her out. Just see what it is. If smell is quite an important thing to you, then this is maybe one way that you can bring that in. We don't want to be lighting candles and things when we're going to sleep because it's a fire hazard. So having these room sprays, you can get things for underneath your pillows, can't you, that you can sort of put on, or even pillow sprays. Um, there's lots of stuff out there. And using things like the essential oils and stuff like that can make a difference. You can get balms, you can get creams, you can get anything that'll just do it. You can put it on your pulse points so you can just smell it a little bit. But whatever scent calms you and relaxes you, yeah, there's lots of different things like this out there. But it might not do what you want it to do. So if there is a smell that you find relaxing, use it. Doesn't matter whether it's designated for this purpose or not. If it's going to relax you, going to calm you, go for it. You know what I mean? You've got to do what's right for you and what works for what you want, really. That's the whole point in half of this. It's a little bit more difficult maybe when you've got a partner in the room, and maybe you need to have some of the discussions on what works best for who. But you know, at the end of the day, sleep is so important. So having these little things does make a difference. And like I said before, the herbal teas, the Ovaltine type of malty type drinks, that type of thing, if that's going to calm, relax you, go for it. Having a bath, for example, even in an evening, that makes a massive difference. So obviously when we're in a bath, it's hot, so you're getting all that. That's why you could add some of your sort of essential oils if you want to, maybe some Epsom salts to sort of relax all those muscles and soothe and soak. And then after that, our body temperature drops, and that's what it is that's then makes us feel sleepy, makes us feel ready for bed. So maybe a bath's your thing. You haven't got a bath like me, I've just got a shower. You can get little things you can put in the shower that bring off the smell, or maybe just get a bowl and soak your feet in it with some nice essential oils or some Epsom salts. Just start that sort of relaxation, sort of bring it in as much as you can do. So there are a couple of other bits and pieces and what you can do. There's obviously the tools we talked about previously, like tapping. That's a fantastic way to sort of help with any area. So the lovely Poppy Delbridge has a wonderful quick tap, which is set for sleep, which we just checked before. She did have a podcast where I think she did a full-on one, but I can't seem to find that anymore, so I don't know if that's been taken down. But we did find a video for you of Poppy doing a really quick tap. Tim will pop it in the comments for you. But again, that you're tapping on the meridian points again, and we're saying what we want to sort of get out of these things. I'm feeling this, so it's just tapping around on them. So just check that out, see if tapping may be able to help. If you enjoyed the tapping that we covered in the last session. So just see if that makes any difference and sort of helps you out with anything there. So yeah, so we're covering quite a lot. So I'll just quickly remind you again that we're here for mind. We're here to raise money for suicide prevention for mind. 1 in 4 of us have a health, poor mental health every year, and 1 in 15 of us will attempt suicide in our lifetimes. So this is what we're raising money for. Again, if you can put any money towards this, if you can donate, that'd be amazing. If you're finding any of this useful, feel free to pop that in there, and yeah, we'll be eternally grateful. Right, so there we go. So we are halfway through. So again, as the book suggested when we were looking at that earlier, a lot of things that affect sleep or can affect sleep can affect our mental health as well. So a lot of the time we need to sort of look at that and sort of say, right, our mind's racing. What can we do to sort of help with that? So obviously there's the tools that we've covered, but there are a couple that you can use just at night time as well. A couple of little well-being things to just sort of help you put those thoughts to one side for a moment. So one of them is to have a trusty notebook, which I usually have a notebook everywhere, but I always have one at the side of my bed. And then if at night I have things coming to me, whether it's worries and concerns and things I've got to do the next day, or whether it's ideas and inspirations for something, because I had that the other night. So I was talking to somebody about potentially doing a hypnotherapy recording for them, and all these ideas were coming to me. So I just had a notebook and wrote some of them down, and then popped it to the side because it was out of my head then. And it's out of my head, it's there. I'm not going to forget it in the morning. I can come back to it and it's fine. So having a notebook's really helpful for that. Or if you haven't got a physical notebook, then doing a bit of a visualization exercise about taking the thoughts out of your head. So if you just imagine as you're sort of lying there asleep, like there's a magical box, just a box right next to you. This box opens every night. You can imagine whether it's a rainbow or a cloud, but just all those thoughts just going into that box for the night and keeping them there, knowing that you can come back to them in the morning. You don't have to deal with them now. You can come back to them. And that's the whole point. It's that sort of emptying the mind, going, right, okay, I want to store all these in this box, out of the way. They're all locked up tight, and I will pick up on that in the morning. So whether you're physically doing that with a book and writing things down, or whether you're doing this visualization of just those thoughts and all those worries and everything that you've got to deal with, that just put into one side, locked up in this box, nice, safe and sound, and you can pick it up in the morning. That is a really powerful tool and to help your brain to sort of relax and to calm and to soothe. You can follow that by a meditation or a body scan. A body scan is another great thing because you're working your way down your body. Quite often, as I start to do a body scan when I'm trying to get to sleep, it sort of clicks in, and by the time I've got halfway down, I'm asleep. So yeah, because it's just remembering, so you're focusing on different areas of your body. So for those that haven't done a body scan before, you start at the top of your head, you work your way down to the tips of your toes, and you just focus on different muscles. So we start focusing around sort of the forehead, and you just imagine those muscles just loosening, just relaxing, and just falling into a comfortable resting position. And you just do that and work your way all the way down your body. But take your time with it. Focus on those muscles. You know, I tend to feel it quite often under my eyes. As soon as I get under my eyes and I start to focus on those muscles, they feel a little bit tingly, and I'm like, okay, it's working. I know I'm doing it. And then I start working my way down, just shifting into a comfortable position as you're doing it, and just thinking of that. And as you're thinking of it, and you're working because you're working down your body as well, that's another way of sort of telling your brain sleep time, go to sleep, we're relaxing, and you should naturally just fall to sleep. So yeah, so that's another really effective little tool that can sort of help out with sleep. One of the topics I want to just touch on, because I know I've got a lot of ladies on here, and it's been mentioned a few times, is sleep and menopause or perimenopause, whichever it is that you might have. So obviously you're getting hot flushes, your mood changes, lots of different things that are starting to affect you and don't help with sleep. So I'm just going to run through a few things that help specifically if you're going through the menopause at this time to sort of help. It's more sort of sleep hygiene type stuff, but again, if you use these along with the wellbeing tools that we've already mentioned, it can make a really big impact and can help you out. So, no caffeine 8 hours before bed. If you can cut caffeine out altogether, in general, it will massively make a difference. Um, a while back, I had my gallbladder removed, and at the time, I cut caffeine out. Don't get me wrong, it was difficult at the time. Got a few headaches and things because I used to have a lot of it, but I went on decaffeinated everything, and that's made a massive difference. Especially for sleep, because you know I quite like a nice hot drink just before I go to sleep. Having caffeine does not help with that, and also the effects it can have on your brain is unbelievable. I learned a lot of that when I sort of did the hypnotherapy. So cutting caffeine out altogether, fantastic. If not, just reduce the caffeine 8 hours before bed because that's how long it can take to have the impact on you. Yeah. Limit alcohol intake. So again, you're looking a good hour or so before bed. You shouldn't be having caffeine. You shouldn't be having alcohol. You should not nicotine if you're smoking. Again, at least an hour before bed. Don't. All these are stimulants. They will keep you awake. What we want is to go into sleep time, produce that melatonin and rest. So cutting caffeine out or reducing it, limiting alcohol and nicotine are three major ones. Again, we talked about the bedroom, so it should be cool, it should be dark, it should be quiet. So making sure that you can get all of those three things in. You know, maybe you've got a particularly noisy neighbour, can you get noise cancelling headphones? Can you soundproof the wall? Do something, maybe switch bedrooms, whatever it is. Maybe it's the kids, maybe it's making sure that they're down earlier than you need to. Do you know what I mean? Maybe you're by a busy road. Is there anything you can do to sort of quiet that down? Keeping the room cool, as we said. So I'm terrible because I do like my room nice and warm, whereas my other half doesn't. So having a cool room, it's your body temperature cooling down, which happens naturally. So we talked about having a bath because you're going from that hot state to a cool state, which will relax you, cool you, and get your body ready to sleep. And dark, so like we said, making sure there's those blackout blinds or curtains, especially in the summer, because as soon as the daylight's there, that's telling our brain something different. You need the room dark in order to say it's time to sleep, it's time to rest, so make the room dark. Yep, so you shouldn't do any heavy exercise or anything like that 2 hours before bed for menopause as well. So, if you like exercising, just make sure you do it earlier on in the day so your body's got time to get rid of that adrenaline, to come down, you know, serotonin get out of your system so it can start going into the more sleepy mode that we need it to. And again, as with everybody, limit electronic use at least an hour before bed. That blue screen tells our brains it's daytime. Yep. So reduce that. Switch to other things. What other things can you do in that last hour of the day to relax you? What does relax you? As I say, we've mentioned journaling, gentle yoga. You can actually get sleep yoga, which is specific for that purpose. So again, look at that type of a thing. Reading, listening to an audio book, doing some colouring, doing some gratitude, whatever it is, find something that just sort of helps calm you down, doesn't involve any form of screens whatsoever, and just relaxes you. Yeah, I'm sure you guys can all think of something, and if not, find a new hobby, find something to do that does not involve exercise, blue screens, or anything like that, at least an hour before bed. Yeah, so they're just a few things if you sort of at the stages of menopause, perimenopause, that might just help out a little bit in terms of sleep. Of course, one of the biggest wellbeing tools that I love and I will continue going on is hypnotherapy. So, in hypnotherapy, all of these things that we've discussed, these bedtime routines, all the different things, we can bring that all together in hypnotherapy. We can work straight with that subconscious mind and we can start planting the ideas in. We convince ourselves why we need it. Our bodies need rest, they need to restore, they need to repair. We do all this in our sleep. So, it's convincing ourselves how important it is. Those little things that are irritating. So maybe you've got a partner that does snoring or something. Now, what we do is they're going to keep snoring and it's up to them if they deal with anything to do with that, but in terms of you need to change that from being an irritant to it being a relaxant. We can switch that up and say, right, when you hear that noise or it makes you think that you're sleepy, you link it with, oh, it makes it easy because you're used to it, it's calming, they're resting, you can rest. Yeah, so we can build all of that type of things in when it comes to hypnotherapy. We can look back at any preconceptions that you've got as well, anything that you've got about sleep, maybe things you've been told as a child or some of the myths that are still out there around sleep. We can get rid of that old rubbish. We can sort of clear it all out and say, do you know what? We don't need this anymore. It doesn't serve us anymore. And we can get rid of all of those and start bringing these new routines in, these new healthier habits for sleep, and build that into your routine and make it quicker, easier, and more effective. I have used this in hypnotherapy before for myself. There was a point where I could not sleep at all, or I'd get off, I'd maybe get half an hour and then wake up, and once my brain woke up, it woke up, and that was it. Um, and I was at the stage of I didn't want to go to the doctors really to use any medications you can do. There's nothing wrong with that. I just didn't want to at the time. I was trying some herbal tablets to see if they'd help. Didn't really do anything. But once I started working with the hypnotherapy, once I started doing the wellbeing tools and I started removing the stressors from the day, and then building in the healthier sleeping habits, building in the routine, cutting out the caffeine, reducing the alcohol, being careful the times I eat, etc. All of it made such a difference and changed a lot of things. And now I'm really great at sleeping. There might be the odd night the pups might wake me up if they're not feeling 100% or they've want to go outside to do something, but I can get back off. There is a few years ago, I couldn't have done that. I was not in a place to do that. But using these tools, these techniques can make a huge, huge difference. And if you are suffering with mental health, poor mental health, anxiety, loneliness, all those different types of things that can affect you, it does have an impact on your sleep. And if you're struggling to sleep, you're struggling to rest, recoup, and then that in turn then affects your mental health again. So it's like a vicious circle, so one going round and the other. So by using these wellbeing tools, have a look back at last week's live. We covered anxiety, and there was lots and lots of wellbeing tools, all designed for anxiety, that will help out if you are struggling with any of those type of things. They will work for that. You can also build in extra stuff for the sleep as well. So by sort of hitting it from all sides, you're going to get sort of an all-rounded package that will help you relax, rest, sleep. Yeah. So we've covered binaural beats. Binaural beats are something anybody can find completely free. Go check them out. We talked about visualization. There's visualization link in the comments, but we also ran through the exercise to do yourself. Again, bring as much detail as you can, as vivid as you can, bring in all of those senses when you're doing this type of thing because it massively helps your brain to learn. We talked about meditation. I love a good meditation. There's lots of guided ones out there. There's ones that can help you to get to the point where you get to sleep. There are the ones where you want to get into a deep sleep. And there's not just mine. If you look on things like Headspace or Fit On, I've mentioned a few times, which is an exercise app, but they've actually got a meditation section on there. They've got loads of sleep ones on there, absolutely tons of them. And they only last a few minutes, but it gets you into that relaxation. And as I say, there's Headspace and there's that podcast I mentioned earlier, so that Get Sleepy by Slumber Studios. All that's about sleep. There's lots of other ones out there. We've got tapping with Poppy Delbridge. Have a check on that and see if that will help you. It goes through all the tapping points, the meridian points, and gets you into that sleeping mode. It works similar to hypnotherapy, only obviously it's rapid tapping, so you can do it a bit quicker there. We've got sleep hygiene, so we looked at things like getting daylight in the morning, making sure your daytime routine includes things like exercise, movement, socialization, building in some nice healthy eating habits as well. Yeah. Then we talked about a nighttime routine, so making sure that you've got that down. There's foods that you can help that'll produce that melatonin, but again, remembering to eat them a good hour or so before bed so your body's got time to digest. We talked about a wind down routine, so again, building in all these lovely well-being tools on there. The bedroom environment, we focused on that. So it's the blackout blinds, the curtains, making sure the space is comfortable. You've got a relaxing, calming smell. Maybe the colours and visualization things you've got around are all about relaxation and sleep. Yeah. So if you've got something that is focusing your attention all the time, maybe that needs to come down, especially if it's something that's waking you up and making you think about it. So you can get words that just say things like relax and calm. um, like for me, sort of purples and blues are quite calming colours, and that's what my bedroom's all in. Like my ceiling, not if any of you the Harry Potter fans, but I've got a lovely sort of night sky ceiling with the candles hanging from it because I find that relaxing. I can look up and it's a night sky and it makes me think of sleep. It makes me think of relaxation. I have the comfy, fluffy bedding because that makes me feel comfortable and makes me want to sleep. Yeah, constantly checking things like my mattress, my pillows, making sure they're comfortable enough. And as soon as they're not and they start irritating, I get new because at the end of the day, sleep is important. It's worth investing in. And I found that quite often early on, we used to get some cheap mattresses and they'd last 2 minutes and we'd both be incredibly uncomfortable and we just wouldn't sleep. Well, now I invest in a decent mattress that will last because at the end of the day, it's important that we get that sleep. It really is. So, all those type of things make a big difference. We talked about avoiding devices. So the blue light from devices tells you it's wake up time. So we don't want that a good hour or so before bed. We talked about different well-being tools we can bring in. Or it doesn't even have to be a well-being tool. It could just be something that relaxes and soothes you. Whether it's reading, yoga, journaling, colouring in, whatever it is, find something to do in that last hour of the day that winds you down and doesn't involve a screen. Yeah. Then we talked about consistency. So again, staying consistent with the routines that we've got in place. There's going to be the odd time things are going to change up, but the more consistent you can be, the easier it is for your brain to know that this is time to sleep. Yeah. We've talked about the myths and we've dispelled a lot of the myths. So you don't need 8 hours. Everybody's different and it's different at different times of your life as well. And we talked about how naps are a good thing. So you can nap 20, 30 minutes during the day and it can make a difference and give you a rejuvenation and help that brain to sort of switch up a bit. So napping is a great thing. So I've talked about the book. We've got the book that we've gone into detail on. There are probably a lot more out there as well, but this is the one that sort of I found and that I found quite handy. I don't know if Headspace have their own book as well. I've got a feeling they might do, but that's one to sort of look at. We talked about our thoughts and how having a book at the side of our bed to write down any of the lingering thoughts we've got at night, um, just to sort of get them out of our mind so we can deal with them, or that exercise of imagining the thoughts going into a box so we can deal with them in the morning. Yeah. And when we're thinking about our thoughts as well, quite often a lot of us have the racing thoughts because we feel like we should be doing all the time and we shouldn't be resting. Just think back to where that comes from. Maybe you've got a parent that's constantly doing and won't sit down for 5 minutes. Yeah, that's the messaging you've been getting all your life that you can't rest, you can't do this. Well, guess what? You can. You can. You deserve to rest. You need to rest. Your body needs it. Your mind needs it in order to be the best that you can be. So, again, that's something else you can look at with one of the therapies if you need to. Or sometimes just that realization, just that, oh, that's where I got that from. Actually, I don't need to do that. Yeah. Because remember, whatever messages we've got down, if we continue on with that, we're passing them on. People learn by watching. So, if you are constantly on the go and don't give yourself a chance to rest, that's not a good thing either. So yeah, so give yourself permission. Build it in as an affirmation. I give myself permission to rest. I am allowed to rest. Yeah. Just saying that can be a breakthrough for some people. So again, think about where you have learned these things on sleep. What messages have you been got, whether it's from TV, whether it's from parents, family members, whatever, where you get the messages from. And then just realizing that that's where this has come from can make a big difference in you knowing you don't have to do that going forward. Yeah. So it's just one thing to think about. So we talked about melatonin, which is what we need for sleep. We have talked about exercise, that it's great to do during the day, but try not to do it too close to your rest time because in doing that, you're building the adrenaline up. Um, all those sort of happy hormones are there and it takes a while to come down. So exercising, great for during the day, but make sure you're not doing it a good hour or so before you're ready to go to bed because it is not productive to rest to relaxation. We talked about foods, we've covered everything about that. Again, careful what you eat during the day. Giving your body time to digest, so making sure you are not eating too close to the end of the day, to that bedtime final hour routine, and the different types of sleepy foods that there are, so foods that help to produce that melatonin. Again, it's just the timing of it, making sure we're not doing it too late so our body's in digest mode. But yeah, we talked about all those different types of things. We've talked about mental health, how that affects everything, and I've reminded you about the anxiety and the confidence boost. I think in the two episodes that we've done previous to this, which full of wellbeing tools to support you in that area. And if you improve in that area, sleep will naturally become easier for you as well. And we also talked about the menopause and how sleep can affect that. And I gave you some helpful hints and tips around that to sort of help out and help you with your sleep. So, whew, that was a full on hour. We've covered a lot, and I hope some of that will help you to get a better night's sleep. We've got all the links in the comments, so feel free to use that. So rather than me doing any of them today, because I've got so many links to so many different things, meditations, visualizations, affirmations, we've got it all. So because we've got all of that, I've not gone through and physically done any with you today, but it is all there. Along with that tap from Poppy Delbridge, which is a really quick one but really effective for sleep. So yeah, so all the information's there And once again, this is our final live for Mind, streaming for suicide prevention and awareness. If you can donate, please do. If you have found any of these lives helpful, any of the tools useful, please, please, please send them a donation over. The links are in the chats. Tim will probably pop it in again in a minute just to be on the safe side. It's the last one we're going to be doing. If you've not managed to catch any of them, you can still go back and check the recordings out. All the comments will be there if you're looking at this on Facebook. If you're looking at any of the other socials, it'll be just a copy of the recording. You might not get the links on that, but go to my Facebook page, check it out. They're all on there, so it's easy for you to find. I am hoping to build some more lives in going forward because these seem to have been really helpful. So potentially once a month, we'll see how it goes. We'll see what topics there is out there and see what the vibe is for everybody. But if you'd be interested in that, please do let me know in the comments and let me know what you'd like me to cover. We covered weight control and hypnotherapy before we started doing these lives, so that was another one that we did, and we had a good hour talking about that and all the wonderful tools that are involved. There's so many topics and so many things when it comes to your mental health that we can cover, so do let me know if this is something you're interested in, and then we'll see if we can start building it in more frequently. But yeah, thank you all so much for coming along, for commenting, for donating, and for sharing. It's really meant a lot, and I hope I've managed to give you some good wellbeing tools to start off, and some of the alternative therapies to just have a bit of a think about. If there's any alternative therapies you'd like to learn more on, again, let me know. I'm hoping to bring the business interviews back where I talk to local businesses about different therapies, different tools that they specialise in, just to learn a little bit more. So, for example, sound baths is something I'd love to learn more about. Um, Reflexology, that type of thing. There's just so many things out there that I just don't think there's enough detail on. So let's try and get some interesting businesses and start to do those as soon as we can do. But I need your input to do this. I need to know what you want to know about. Have you heard of something and thought, what's that? Tell me, let me know, and I will see what I can do. So I'm going to head off. I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your Sunday. Thank you once again for joining. And yeah, just reach out whenever you can. Have a fantastic weekend, and that's bye for me for now.